wanted to shoot a quick video to go over, which I thought would be educational for a lot of folks out there too, the education of the history of the patch card, and then also getting into the patch auto card. So where it started and to where we are now and where we hopefully will be someday with regards to the patch card. So the patch card started back in 1996-97 with Upper Deck Hockey. Upper Deck was the first to create the patch card. It was game used patch cards. It was so you'd get a patch card in every 2,500 packs. You would find a patch card. So it was super rare. It was a huge pull. It was worth a lot of money, especially in hockey collecting. And Upper Deck was really good about sparsing those cards out throughout hockey. And then obviously, it matriculated into other, sports, football, basketball, baseball. So 1996-97, that's the origination. And then in 1999, with Upper Deck and a lot of the folks, that's when we started getting the player worn or player used material. And they were starting to take, things from promotional events that players would wear, and they'd put them in cards. Now, it wasn't the forte. It wasn't the main card that was being distributed. It was still game-worn stuff was still the main thing. But they would slip in these, player-worn and player-used, because it was easier to get, in 1999. So it was like sort of 3 years after, 3 years we've had of player-worn stuff. Now we started getting the player-worn and player-used stuff. So you fast forward from 1999 to 2009, and that's when Panini signed, their contract, the big Panini contract, and they created larger patches. So we weren't just getting the squares anymore, the smaller squares. They said, hey, look, we can do bigger patches, and people would like them, and they were right. People loved them, and Panini was sticking with game used stuff. And basketball Crown Royale 2009, 2010, I mean, that was their first patch cards that they put into a product, and they did a lot more of them. And they were bigger patches, and they were made unique, and there was different cuts, different colors, trying to get the multicolor. So Panini sort of upped the game with regards to that. So then 2 years later, in 2011, I think is when we had the complete downslide of the patch card. And I can sum it up with one picture. And I'm going to show you that picture. It's of Mark Ingram, rookie for the Saints in 2011, was at an event, and he tried to wear like 100 Jeremy Shockey jersey shirts. And all the patch cards that came out from Mark Ingram that year were player worn. And everybody saw that it must have been the jerseys that he wore that weren't even his jersey. He was wearing Jeremy Shockey jerseys. Jeremy Shockey actually got cut after that and went on with the Carolina Panthers. But anyways, this picture, and I'm going to show it to you right now. So we're going to see the picture right now. That's the picture of him wearing like 100 jerseys of Jeremy Shockey, not his own jersey. And then it to the public, a lot of his cards that were player worn, everybody assumed that it was that jersey that he was wearing. And that's how we got the downslide. People didn't trust even player worn. So you just put on a bunch of jerseys at a show, and that's what was in the card. So that fiasco, the Mark Ingram 2011 fiasco, is really when things started to downslide. And then, 2012, 2013, we had a big increase from Panini now, since they have the license, of creating of doing the player worn and player used, but then also the start of not from any specific game or event. And that just meant now that, you could do any licensed jersey. You could pull off a jersey from Dick's Sporting Goods as long as it's a licensed NFL jersey, and put it in a card and just say that it's not from any event, specific game event or used item. So that's from 2000, I would say 2011, from the Mark Ingram fiasco to present day 2023. That's why you see proliferation of so many non-specific patch cards, which is called the napkin in the hobby, and which nobody really desires and nobody really cares for. But it was an easy way for Panini to get patch cards done without putting in any real work. And to avoid any real lawsuits, because they were dealing with a lot of lawsuits at the time too, making sure that they actually did the game-worn and game-used material. I don't know what Fanatics is going to do. I'll be interested to hear what you all have to say. I hope Fanatics sort of goes back to 2015. And I'll say 2015 Topps Strata. That was a great product that was able to track exactly the dates of Major League Baseball players, the game that they played in, their statistics for that day. They had the tracking system down pat. Topps had the tracking system down pat in football too, in the early 2000s. They would tell you a specific game something was you from and go from there. So we all want to blame Panini, which Panini, you do suck, and we do need to blame you for a lot of things. But Panini did create the larger patch. They did create the RPA, the rookie patch auto. And for a while there, they did a lot of game-worn stuff. But they got away from it after their first 2 years so they could take the cheap route. And Fanatics, if you're listening, don't take the cheap route. Don't take the cheap route. We don't want it.